I do have a couple of comments that I will share with you about this Trump versus DeSantis thing. It seems, this is going to sound a little bit perverse, but bear with me. It seems that Trump is not entirely upset about the idea of being indicted. This is what it seems like. He could be putting a brave face on. He could be acting this way simply because he doesn't have any choice. Maybe he's feeling hopeless behind the scenes. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like he understands the political benefit to him if he gets indicted. It seems like he understands that even if he's indicted, even if he's humiliated by a perp walk, I don't think he'll be handcuffed, even though the left wants to handcuff him, because I don't think the Secret Service would let that happen. Even if he's convicted, which he probably would be just based on where this trial happens, not because it's a legitimate charge, but just because the jury would not actually be a jury of his peers. It would be a jury of his opposition, and they would convict him just because of who he is, because they hate him. Even if he gets convicted, he's not going to serve the rest of his life in prison. It probably would not be a significant prison sentence at all. And it seems like he understands the political benefit that this might have for him. I said on the show on Monday that I think if he is indicted, and especially if he's convicted, I think this guarantees him the nomination for Republican nominee, or guarantees him that spot as Republican nominee in 2024. I don't think this guarantees him the presidency. I know Elon Musk said that, and a lot of other people are saying, well, you've just about handed Trump the presidency if you indict him. I don't think that's true. I think the Republican base might rally behind him. I don't think that Democrats who've previously hated him would all of a sudden say, well, Alvin Bragg, a man we've never heard of, in a Manhattan district attorney funded by George Soros, is abusing his power. Therefore, now I'm gonna vote for Trump after spending the last 8 years hating him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the left, perversely, wants Trump to be the nominee in 2024 because they think they can beat him again by hook and by crook. So, as perverse as it might sound, it seems like Trump understands the political benefit to potentially being indicted, or probably being indicted. He's also, the reason that I say this, the information that I've used to form this opinion is the fact that instead of talking about how this is a threat to our nation, because it is an abuse of the government's power against the citizen based on that citizen's politics, instead of talking about that, instead of saying, listen, if this can happen to me, it can happen to you guys. Because that's where I am, sitting right here at this desk, talking to you guys right now. The feeling that I have when I see the Trump indictment is, first of all, it's unjust. Second of all, it's a threat to our country because it perverts the rule of law. We aren't a nation of laws if this is what happens. We are a nation of elitists who get to target people based on their politics. And the third feeling I have is a feeling, just this gross, visceral feeling that none of us are safe. None of us are safe. If this can happen to someone as powerful as Trump, who served as president of the United States, who has an unlimited war chest of not only money, but political capital, because he has half the country that's behind him, if this can happen to him, it can happen to us. And there's no reason why it wouldn't happen to us if we happen to become a thorn in the side of the leftists who did this to Trump. That's how I'm coming from. And I don't see that reaction from President Trump right now. I see him using this instead to target DeSantis, he's trying to make this he's trying to make himself, in a sense, a victim, which he is, but it's never an appealing mantle to put around yourself, even if you are a true victim, to say, oh, I'm a victim, look at me. But instead, he's using this as a cudgel against DeSantis, saying, well, why aren't you being loyal enough? Why aren't you refusing to sign extradition papers? Even though anybody who looks at the law in Florida, the technicality of extradition doesn't mean that the governor of the state gets to decide or gets to deny extradition. It's a purely administrative task, at least as far as I understand. Anybody who's an attorney and who has a different opinion, you can write to me and you can prove to me if I'm incorrect, but I've analyzed this and I've had lawyers look at it, and it doesn't appear that there's anything that DeSantis could do. This is a purely administrative, did you file the proper form? It is not an analysis by DeSantis of whether the charges are fair, whether the district attorney is bringing this case properly. It's just, did you file the right, paperwork, whatever number, 1234.B.8, a government paperwork thing. And instead, Trump is using it to bash DeSantis, pretending that DeSantis has some power over this, but is willingly handing Trump over this district attorney. And this is what you call dirty politics, right? Trump has been making allegations against Ron DeSantis for the last month or two, most of which are completely without merit and kind of absurd on their face. To me, it shows that Trump is afraid of DeSantis, which maybe he should be from an objective standpoint. I know Trump is usually wildly ahead in the polls. You'd think he would be pretty confident in his position, but DeSantis is his closest runner-up in the polling. And so Trump has been playing pretty dirty politics against DeSantis, and there's a couple ways of thinking about this. First of all, I don't really care if people play dirty politics. I know that this is maybe an unpopular opinion. We used to, like 10 years ago, say, oh, politics, you should still be a gentleman, you should still be classy, you should still respect your opponent, but we're way beyond that in modern politics. If we play by those rules, we're going to be defeated every time by the left. And then, not that we should cheat and lie and steal, but I don't care if we're like savage. I don't care if we completely eviscerate the left as long as, we're doing it legally. And when Trump acts this way, when he plays dirty politics and he's trying to be savage against DeSantis, it just shows me that he knows how to fight, that he knows how to be savage. And I want someone who knows how to be savage to fight against the left. So while I think it's kind of silly to aim it at DeSantis, at the same time, I appreciate the fact that he's at least willing to be savage. He's at least willing to play dirty politics, because you have to be if you are going to win in this country. That's one way to think about it. Another way to think about it is to say, listen, don't knife people in your own party, especially people who have a political future after you. DeSantis is like half of Trump's age right now. He's going to be in politics for decades. President Trump is not. He's almost 80. So don't ruin political candidates that are probably going to follow in your footsteps. Many ways to look at this. Like I said, I don't really care that much about the dirty politics. I kind of respect politicians who play dirty politics as long as they do it legally and at least have a good basis for a good premise for playing dirty politics. But the indictment itself, this is a really big deal. This is a really, really big deal. And it's not something that should be exploited the way that gun control activists exploit mass shootings. When there's a mass shooting and we're all heartsick over the loss of life because some maniac mass murdered innocent people, political activists who don't respect our Constitution and our Second Amendment and our fundamental human right to keep and bear arms, defend ourselves against tyrannical government, they try to exploit our sadness and sometimes our fear that this could happen to a member of our own families. And they try to use that, they exploit that to try to pass their political agenda legislatively or use executive power to dictate it, to issue a fiat. And I hate that. That's politics that I cannot tolerate, because it's wrong, it's immoral. That is what I don't like about what I see here is President Trump can play dirty politics with Ron DeSantis all he wants, that's fine. Ron DeSantis can play dirty politics with Trump all he wants, that's fine. I want to see politicians who understand that they're going to have to play pretty rough to beat the Democrats. I don't want some polite young gentleman who trying to run against the Democratic Party that's been co-opted by Marxists. Like, no, you got to be savage to beat these people. But what I don't want is I don't want something as serious and as gut-wrenching as an indictment that shows us that our country is a sick, sick country, that our government is a sick, sick government, and not just as it relates to targeting Trump, but as it relates to potentially targeting us. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.